you remember it perfectly. The color of the balloon basket, the way your stomach dropped, your father's hand steadying your shoulder as the ground fell away. There's just one problem. It never happened. In 2002, psychologist Kimberly Wade handed people a doctored photograph of themselves on a hot air balloon ride that never took place. Within days, most of them weren't just recognizing the photo. They were adding details. The weather, the smell of the propane burner, their own fear. None of it was real, and none of them could tell. If your brain can build a memory that detailed from a single fake photograph, the real question isn't whether you have false memories. It's how many you're carrying right now. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly how your mind does this to you. And subscribe now, because what happens in Section 7 will change how you trust your own past. Human memory was never built to work like a video recorder. Cognitive scientists have understood since the early 20th century, starting with British psychologist Frederick Bartlett's 1932 study, Remembering, that recall is reconstructive, not reproductive. Every time you retrieve a memory, your brain doesn't play it back. It rebuilds it, using fragments, expectations, and whatever information happens to be available at that moment. That rebuilding process is efficient. It's also unreliable. By the late 20th century, researchers like Elizabeth Loftus at the University of Washington had turned this into a rigorous field of study, running controlled experiments to find out exactly how easily a memory could be altered, planted, or invented outright, and how confident people would remain in memories that were completely false. The hidden truth is this: confidence and accuracy are almost unrelated. In Loftus's now famous 1994 Lost in the Mall study, roughly a quarter of adult participants came to believe, and describe in vivid detail, a childhood memory of being lost in a shopping mall that their own families confirmed never occurred. Some cried recounting it. Some added sensory details their relatives had never mentioned. The false memory wasn't a foggy guess. It felt, from the inside, indistinguishable from something that truly happened. Later research using the Diess-Roediger-Mack-Dermott word list paradigm showed the same effect happens with something as mundane as a list of words. People reliably remember a word that was never read to them because their brain filled a semantic gap and never flagged the fill as fabricated. This is the part almost nobody understands until it's too late. Your brain doesn't file false memories in a separate folder marked uncertain. It stores them exactly where the real ones go. For most of legal and psychological history, memory was treated as reliable by default. Courtrooms leaned on eyewitness testimony as near unshakable evidence. Therapists in the 1980s and early 1990s, working with a genuine and often well-intentioned desire to help patients, sometimes used suggestive questioning and guided imagery to recover what they believed were repressed memories of trauma. Families were destroyed by accusations built on memories that, decades later, would be understood very differently. Nobody was acting in bad faith. The problem was that almost nobody yet had the data to know how fragile and moldable memory actually was, or how a single leading question could plant something that felt like lived history. The breaking point arrived case by case, through courtrooms rather than headlines. Wrongful convictions built almost entirely on confident eyewitness identification began to be overturned by DNA evidence, starting in the 1990s. The Innocence Project, founded in 1992, would go on to document that mistaken eyewitness testimony played a role in a large majority of the wrongful convictions it helped overturn. At the same time, so-called recovered memory cases from the same era began collapsing under scrutiny, as families and courts realized some recovered memories had been inadvertently shaped by the very process meant to uncover them. Psychology had to confront an uncomfortable fact. Memory could be catastrophically wrong while feeling completely certain. If you've made it this far, you already sense where this is going, and it gets more unsettling. Subscribe now, because Section 7 walks through the exact mechanism your brain uses to build a false memory from nothing. For years, this research sat in an uncomfortable silence. Acknowledging that memory could be this unreliable meant reopening old convictions, questioning therapeutic practices built on good intentions, and unsettling something people relied on for identity itself. The belief that their past was solid ground. Some clinicians pushed back hard against Loftus's findings, arguing that emphasizing false memory research could be used to dismiss real trauma survivors. That tension was genuine, and it mattered. The science was never meant to claim all recovered memories are false, only that memory is more editable than anyone assumed, and that the two, a true traumatic memory and a sincerely, confidently held false one, can feel exactly the same from the inside. That ambiguity is precisely what made the science so hard to sit with, and so important to get right. So how does a brain build a memory of something that never happened? It starts with source monitoring failure. The mechanism researcher Marsha Johnson identified as the process by which your brain tags a piece of information with where it came from. Did you see it, imagine it, or hear someone describe it? Normally that tag holds. But under the right conditions, a leading question, a doctored photo, a vivid description repeated enough times, the tag gets lost, and imagination gets misfiled as memory. In Wade's hot air balloon study, participants weren't lying when they added sensory detail. Their brains were doing exactly what memory always does, filling gaps with plausible material and stamping the result real. Because plausible material dressed convincingly enough is indistinguishable from a genuine trace. The unexpected humanity in this research is easy to miss. When debriefed, most participants weren't embarrassed. They were shaken. Loftus has described participants growing distressed, not because they'd been tricked, but because they realized they could no longer fully trust memories they'd built their identity around. One participant in a related study, upon learning her vivid memory of a childhood hospital visit was fabricated by researchers, reportedly said she still felt she remembered it, even knowing it was false. That's the part that separates this from a party trick. This isn't about gullibility. It's about the basic architecture of a healthy human brain, doing exactly what it evolved to do, prioritizing a coherent, usable story over perfect archival accuracy. Documented cases outside the lab carry the same signature. In the 2000s, cognitive scientists studying public collective false memories, sometimes popularized as the Mandela effect, found that large groups of unconnected people would confidently recall the same incorrect detail. A company logo, a movie line, a historical fact, all misremembered in an identical patterned way, because the same source monitoring gaps and cultural misinformation shaped everyone's reconstruction similarly. None of it required conspiracy or déjà vu from another timeline. It required nothing more exotic than the way memory has always worked, now visible at scale because millions of people could compare notes online. By the time researchers had replicated these effects across dozens of studies and multiple countries, the conclusion was no longer in doubt, even if it remained deeply uncomfortable. A fabricated memory built well is not a weaker copy of a real one. Inside your own head, it is the real thing. The legacy of this research reshaped entire institutions. Many police departments overhauled lineup and interview procedures to avoid inadvertently leading witnesses. Therapeutic best practices shifted towards extreme caution around suggestive techniques when working with memory. Courts increasingly allow expert testimony on the limits of eyewitness reliability. None of this made memory trustworthy again in the old simple sense. It made the field honest about what memory actually is. A reconstruction, rebuilt fresh every time, shaped by everything that's touched it since. Loftus herself was named one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century for forcing that reckoning, often at real professional cost. So here's the question worth sitting with. If a fabricated photograph, a leading question, or a repeated story from a relative can plant a memory so convincing you'd swear to it under oath, how would you ever know, from the inside, which of your own vivid childhood memories are real and which ones your brain simply built to fill a gap? You likely won't ever get a clean answer, and neither will anyone else. If this changed how you think about your own memory, subscribe for more deep, evidence-based dives into the science hiding inside everyday human experience. And tell me in the comments, is there a memory from your own childhood you've suddenly started to doubt?